We'll start it up. All right. Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Living for a Living, episode number 58? 7? I don't know.
How you doing?
Does it really matter? Whatever this current episode is. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. How you doing? Good. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that, or I'm sorry. I think it'll get better. Man, this is actually going to be the last podcast in this apartment. I'm packing up all my shit tomorrow. I have to move apartments literally like half a mile away just because the person who owns this apartment is renting it out to a family member. So I didn't get in trouble. I didn't do anything wrong. Surprisingly, man, I remember JUCO when I moved out. Actually, I have some good move out stories now that I think about it. In JUCO, first time ever having an apartment, me and Big E, my roommate, and we both owned it or leased it together. And then we'd rent out the couch to somebody. And we had two different guys that slept on the couch during our 2 years there. And our spot was the party spot, for sure. For sure. As you heard Ed talk about last episode, he said one of his best memories was parties at our place, which I can agree. We'd literally move all the couches, all the furniture to the side, so that way it's just as much open space in the middle. And it got pretty freaky in there, baby. Those were the good old days. It was before everyone recorded everything all the time. And so people just got after it. But when we moved out of there, we probably vacuumed 5 times in total while we lived there. And between the parties and smoking weed and probably end up just ashing on the floor at some points, that carpet was fucked. I think at one point during a party, some guy was getting broke off dancing against the wall, and there was kind of a hole put in the wall. Or maybe that was upstairs. Anyway, we did not get our security deposit back from that one. And I think they tried to get us to pay more. And once, the landlord there was a bitch, as many landlords are, which will segue perfectly into my next one. They didn't get any more money out of us from what I remember. Yeah, that was 10 years ago. I don't know. I'll let my mom deal with that one. Sorry, Mom. And and then when I moved from North Dakota, we had a really good spot on campus. Well, not on campus technically, but it was closer to some of the buildings than the dorms were. So it was almost like being on campus, and it was a sick little 2-bedroom spot. Rent was $300 or something crazy. And it was kind of all retro. It was sick. And during the summers, or during the winters, or during the springs, or during the falls, North Dakotans and people who go to school there like to drink and like to have a good time and like to get fucked up. And I was no exception to that rule. And so one day, this was in the summer, right before I moved out, maybe my last week, and we had a guy, again, sleeping on our couch, I think. Isaac had subleased the Bickles room for that summer. Isaac taught me to drink good beer. And then Bickle came back, and I think Isaac was just still staying at our place. I can't really remember. We had a futon out in the main room, I think. Yeah, that's besides the point, whatever. And so we were partying. I can remember we made guacamole and chips. I don't know how I can remember that, but we definitely did. I can't remember much else from that day. And we were out in the yard. We had a nice little yard, front yard, playing lawn darts or just being assholes and yelling at people or something. And at one point, me and my then girlfriend went back up to the house to do our own thing. And during that time, somehow Bickle and Isaac and whoever was involved had the brilliant idea to like start a fire. They were going to, let's do a campfire in our front yard. And so I don't know how they did it or what they made a fire out of, but that didn't go over well. And so the cops didn't get called, but like the landlord, someone called the landlord. I'm sure probably it's the people either living below us or under us or above us, because it was like a house that had been made into 3 different apartments, or 4 actually. There was a basement, yeah. And one of them were assholes and they called the landlord on us. And so she came and like got super mad at all the guys in the front yard. And I was the only one who ever went and dropped the rent check off. And I was the one who negotiated in the beginning. And so she didn't even know who Bickle was, who was living there. She knew like his name was on the lease, but she didn't ever meet him. And Bickle's in the front yard talking to this lady and pretending like he doesn't live there. And she's like, "Where's Joey?" And Brenda was her name. Brenda fucking sucked. And I mean, she was just a crappy person. And it takes a lot for me to say that, but she was. And so I was upstairs, like I said, doing my thing with my girlfriend. And she comes, knocks on the door, and I'm like pretty fucked up, you know? And she starts yelling at me, and I have channeled and blocked this one out. And I'm like, you know, "I'm sorry, blah, blah." And I knew I was moving at this point, and I don't know if she could really do anything. I don't know. Like, well, I was going to get evicted after this anyway, but I was leaving, so it didn't even matter. And so anyway, she like leaves, and Bickle is down with the other couple guys moving stuff and putting stuff back into the garage because we had a bunch of chairs and that kind of stuff. And he's still pretending like he doesn't live there. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to kick Joey out of here for sure." And Bickle's like, "Oh, that means I'm getting kicked out too." And so anyway, I leave, and Bickle didn't want to move because it was such a good spot. And so this motherfucker literally, because he had seen her that day and he needed to go talk to her about, "Hey, like you kicked Joey out. I wasn't there. I wasn't involved. Is it okay if I still live here and just get a new roommate to replace Joey?" Which she was like, "Okay, that's cool, but you need to come sign some papers or do something." So they needed to meet up. And so he knew, well, fuck, now she's seen me. She was pretty dumb in general, but she probably would remember him. And he had blonde hair similar to mine. And so this motherfucker literally dyed his hair brown in order to go meet with the landlord. So that way he could sign some papers and have some alternate ego. And it worked. Bickle, you crafty bastard, you. I remember hearing about this like that summer and just, oh, that was good. Yeah, that was good. So anyway, I'm moving out. But again, not because I did anything wrong. I got all those out of my system when I was younger. I was a great tenant here. Became friends with the neighbors. As much as you can become friends with the neighbors in a Finnish apartment complex. People will literally avoid coming out of their house if they hear you coming up the stairs, I think. But, yeah. So, not exactly what I want to be doing, but it is what it is. And actually, I'm kind of upgrading apartments, and so a little bit more downtown. I'll have a true 1-bedroom. I don't know if I'll have a balcony or not. But shit, you don't need a balcony during this fucking blizzard. It's literally been snowing for a week straight. There is so much snow here, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. I'm not going to lie. I liked it in the beginning. But now that we're getting closer to March, I'm like, all right, dude, let's get some sun. Let's get the spring coming around the corner. And it doesn't look like it's around the corner at all. But Finnish people will literally bicycle in the blizzards. I don't know what kind of efficiency. They have to crash at times. It astonishes me every time I see it. Literally blizzard, bro. Where when I'm walking, just walking, the snow is hitting my face and like I can't really see. And so I can't imagine biking going even faster. Like they're blind. And not to mention there's like 2 inches of snow on the ground. I just don't get how that's fun or efficient or, I would have to be traveling a long ways to be like, yeah, I'm going to go biking in the blizzard today. But I see it just constantly here. And people drive by like, because they can't see, I think. I don't know. So yeah, that's what's going on with me. Didn't have too eventful of a weekend, although I did get recognized for the second time from TikTok. Met a random little homie at the bar. He was like 20, and he heard me order in English, and he'd like lived in Australia for a little bit, so he wanted to use some English and talk to a native speaker. So we got chopping it up. He calls it, and he was pretty fucked up. That's another thing with Finnish people. They're either 100% sober or 100% drunk. There's like never the in between. I don't know how it exactly happens, but boy, it's just a flip of a switch going from shy, not talking to talking in your ear, like literally talking in your ear. And I'll like back up. I'm like, dude, all right, that's enough, bro. That's enough. But he calls his homie over. He's like, yeah, this is one of my best friends. Hey, this is Joey. And his friend goes, oh yeah, dude, I've seen you on TikTok. I was like, dope. I'm becoming known amongst the youth. And TikTok is funny, dude, because like, although first I guess I got to say, now that I'm like slowly developing this little following on TikTok, which is weird because it's literally all people I don't know. Whereas like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter kinda are all people I know. You know, I have like 1,900 followers on Instagram, but a majority of them I know personally and I've met throughout my travels and life and stuff. Whereas TikTok, I'm like at 4,800, and I maybe know 10 of them at that. And so it's this weird thing where for me, like I said, it's just a game. And since now being in Finland with the algorithm, all my stuff, my audience is like 50% from Finland. You can look all this shit up. And so part of that game, I'm going to post stuff about Finland. So a couple of those bits and you got to mention Finland right in the very beginning. That just hooks them in. It's just fucking shooting fish in a barrel, man. They hear an American accent, say Finland right off the bat. It's like, oh, I want to hear what this fucker has to say. It's good for me. And I'm like different, I think, because there's quite a few Americans living in Finland that kind of do their takes on Finnish things. But most all of them, for the most part, kind of suck Finland's dick a little bit. Or it's like super like PG, super non-controversial, super just like vanilla status quo generic things. You know, a guy will rate holiday desserts, and he'll compare life to the U.S. of money and this. And all these American motherfuckers that live in Finland say they love being able to weigh and get the price tag for produce in the supermarkets. I fucking hate that, bro. Like, I don't want to work in the supermarket for a reason. No disrespect to anybody who does it, but when I have to do that and then I have to go do a self-checkout, yo, you might as well give me a vest so I can be a member at the store, an employee at the store. And so when people say they love that, I'm like, oh, why? Like, what does it matter if you know your lemon is going to cost 60 cents or 72 cents? You know what I mean? Like, gee. But so anyway, I feel like I'm different as, well, more than just on fucking Finnish TikTok, but in life in general. But most of these American people that are here, like, it's all like pretty generic. There's this one long-haired dude I just saw this week who he's like getting creative with it, but it's, I don't know. I didn't watch too much of it, to be honest, but he seemed all right. But it was also very like vanilla-y. And listen, I like life in Finland a lot. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a better working society than pretty much everywhere else I've lived, from the US, Portugal, Spain, Czech Republic, Poland. But also there's some funny things that happen and things that aren't perfect, and, you know, I'm going to fucking talk about them. So, yeah, that's been a funny realization. And it makes me wonder too, because I guess with the beard, it's somewhat of a like easy thing to recognize, maybe. I wonder how many other people recognize me and then just don't say it, because it's a small, Finnish TikTok is a small community. And so that was kind of making me curious. We were talking about it at practice yesterday, and one of the guys on my team was like, "Oh yeah, dude, I follow you. Your shit's good." And we'd never talked about it before. He's like, "Yeah, your videos are always funny." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, got to get them going in the comments. That's the way to boost the algorithm. But yeah, I think, I guess my last thing regarding this is, whether it be TikTok or Instagram, but it's more so TikTok now, which, like, if you have a business or you're trying to sell something and you're not on TikTok trying to do something, what the fuck are you doing with your life? You know, I mean, growing anything on Instagram nowadays, unless you want to pay money, is not the way to do it. Like, it's not going to happen. But you can literally grow. I think I've gotten 2,000 new followers in the last month on TikTok. And it makes me feel so good, because if I'll look, you know, you're swiping through and you see a hot girl shaking her ass, and I might watch for research purposes, you know, and then check out her profile just to double check, just to see what's going on, you know. Got to make sure see what all of her content's about. And maybe more of them are just ass shaking, but then she has less followers than me. I have to admit, I get this little like sense of pride, because it's like, damn, people want to listen to what I have to say more than they want to see this girl shake her ass. And that's something to say, I think. And that, whether maybe she's just new to TikTok and she'll surpass me in a week, could be. But that just, for that little brief instance, I will admit that gives me a sense of pride, that like, damn, what I have to say is better than some ass shaking. And that's the weird thing about this social media world that's happening. And I know that, like, with some influencers or whatever, there are some people that say stuff and do stuff, but on Instagram and TikTok, there's a lot of girls and guys too that only have followers based off their body. That's kind of more Instagram. And now on TikTok, that are just based off their dances, you know, and they're also good looking. Don't get me wrong. So the combination of dancing, body, and good looking creates all of these followers and kind of gives influence. But the same time, it's like you'll go through some of these people's profile and they'll say nothing. They'll have literally no talking videos at all, literally zero personality. It's just all based off appearance. And that's okay. I'm not like mad at it or whatever. It is what it is. Play your game, play your strengths. But then just knowing there's going to be somewhat of a inflated sense of ego, just basing off the idea that these people are very appearance based, and I'm making a judgment right now. I'm sure not every single person is all appearance based, even if they only shake their ass and do some wiggle dickin' moves, as Dave Portnoy says. But then because of that, then they get 100,000 followers and 1 million likes or whatever arbitrary number. Then their sense of importance rises. But and maybe you can flip it somehow to make money off of it. I don't know how, unless you're really good at dance. Maybe, I don't know. But then it's like you have nothing to say. And so what's your long-term game? And maybe for some people it's just fun, but I don't know. I'm just thinking from the psyche and psychology aspect of it, that it's just a recipe for depression and disaster down the road when the next thing comes up and the dancing isn't cool, although girls shaking their ass I think will always be cool. I don't see how that's ever going to go out of style. So, it worries me. I don't have an answer. I don't have a point to that, but it's just something that is like we've created this weird society, and I'm guilty. I'm checking out the ass shaking too. Don't get me wrong. I'm contributing. Gladly sometimes. But it makes me wonder like where we're headed. And I saw something that China just made it so that social media influencers have to get some government pass or certificate, or I don't know what the exact right word is, so that consent from the government so that they can post their own vlogs and basically their own content. And the way the U.S. is headed, and just judging based on how we've been doing things, I say give it 10 years before that's the case in the U.S. And then that'll just totally like narrow who can do what. I don't know. As you may noticed, I don't have a ton of hope for the future of the U.S. long-term wise. I think that the greatest years were behind us. I mean, like mid-2000s. Those were the years, bro. I mean, from a music standpoint, movies, all that stuff. I mean, I think that was maybe mid-90s to mid-2000s. Granted, that's the time I've been alive, so I can't really, I'm sure the 60s and 70s were kind of cool, but there was a lot of civil unrest and those kind of things going on, and some wars happening. Although I guess we've been at war with the Middle East for 20 plus years. How's that going? Is that getting solved? Yeah, probably not. Was that ever going to get solved? What's the end game? What's the goal for that? Anyone even know? That's just the ultimate 1984 endless war with a changing opponent that people don't even think or care about at this point. I know I talk about it all the time. Read 1984. It's creepy. Really creepy how we are moving towards Oceania. Seriously creepy. Yeah, actually, on that, hold on, let me take a sip. I'm as I've said, I want to talk less and less about politics and COVID and all that stuff, but Just a quick 19, maybe 2 lines on it. Try and limit myself to 1 minute talking about this. Is COVID's only going to stop when people stop putting up with the bullshit. Like, it's going to continue for as long as people allow it to, because the people at power are fucking greedy, power hungry people. And so they're not going to give it up ever. I mean, Bill Gates is already coming out saying might need a 3rd vaccine shot because the first 2 aren't working good. Like, it's never going to end. I'm telling you right now. I promise. I'll admit when I'm wrong. If it ends just because it's gone, I'll admit that. But that's not going to happen. And regarding that 3rd vaccine shot that we all need to take because old fucking Uncle Bill told us to, I don't know if you've seen the clip of the Pfizer ex-vice president or ex-president talking about the vaccine itself. I mean, I'm sure maybe he's disgruntled, so he's talking shit for his own reasons. But here, just check this clip out real quick.
It would be good, I think, to have a vaccine to use for very vulnerable people. But, this is a really important but, nobody else needs this thing. Your body and my body, I'm not vulnerable. I'm not going to be made seriously ill and die. It would be an astonishing thing. 1 in a million. You don't vaccinate the population because 1 in a million people might have a bad outcome. What you do is you look at the people who are vulnerable and you offer them the vaccine with the word offer. Informed consent is important. So it's not necessary. And it's an appalling misuse of a public platform for people to suggest that the only way we'll get our lives back is if we mass vaccinate the population. Something very smelly is going on. But the main problem I have with it, as you mentioned, is this notion of being mandated or even coerced. So you don't have to, but you can't travel if you don't. That's the sort of thing. I want your viewers to know that that's illegal under international law.
So yeah, that's only the ex-Pfizer vice president or Pfizer ex-vice president. So yeah. But again, just listen to the experts. Don't trust science. Listen to the experts and everything will be okay. It's weird to see the differences of responses based on different countries and states and all that stuff. You know, Finland hasn't really had it that much. I think people also here are like smart with, I mean, social distancing is like part of the culture. So, you know, there's certain reasons for it. But, you know, you go to the US and Florida is open. You know, Florida, it's free. But then spots like Czech Republic that's still locked down. And Poland, I think, for the most part, is pretty locked down. Henny, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure it's still pretty locked down. I think I saw some tweet that said Poland was going to make it so you had to wear a specific mask or something. And if not, then you can get fined for just wearing a scarf or wearing a whatever, you know? And in the US, like Florida, you don't even have to wear one. Go up to Washington, you better double mask, motherfucker. But it just wonders me. It's like in the places where government has had a lot of power in the past, like historically speaking, and now I'm trying to just combine 2 things right here, and so maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. This is just a random thought I'm having. Places where government has had a lot of power in the past, like i.e. Seattle has been, you know, heavy Democrat for a long time. California, although I guess Arnold was the governor or whatever, but he was Hollywood elite, so yeah. But then places like Czech Republic, Poland, which used to be pretty governmentally controlled. Like, I feel like it's those places that, whether it's the people that are still in power that have it in their DNA that want to be in power, or it's the citizens who in their DNA are used to being ruled or under control more or less, that just kind of allow it to happen a little bit more. But I wonder if there's some correlation with that. I don't know. This is just speaking off the top of my head. That's why you're tuning in, to get some unfiltered thoughts. And if you haven't checked out Ed Washington's episode, boy, do that, because Ed is unfiltered. And that was a fun one. So I think that's all I had to say about those topics. Let me see. Let me look at my notes real quick. Yeah, said that. Okay, one, I know I went like 3 minutes over COVID shit, but I don't know. That was useful, right? It's just, we're at a point right now where I can't tell what's parody and what's not parody. Like, some things that are serious I think are parody, and then other things that are parody I think are serious. Like, there was some tweet right before I hopped on here about, and I guess it was an old article, but it was about, in Maine, they're saying that servers need to wear their masks like from the neck. So basically it was like a dog cone, when they get neutered or like surgery or whatever. And it's just like, it was a real article, but I saw it and I was like, this has to be from The Onion. Like, this can't be real. And then I saw another, I guess I'm going all one way, but there was some little clip on TikTok about a podcast about I don't know if he's a comedian or what the hell I think he is I don't know, talking about how comedy now is going like after the woke people, but literally saying that, comedy is pushing the boundaries and making fun of people, which is like, dude, that's what comedy is, I think. Like, if you just say nice things that's not funny, that's not comedy. Like, yeah, stereotypes are not right. I agree. I'm not going to live my life off of stereotypes and generalizations, but fuck, they can be funny sometimes. You know what I mean? But we just have a group of people that seems to be growing larger and larger, and it's especially on the internet, that just cannot differentiate between comedy, entertainment, and what's serious. For them, it's just everything is serious, and everything needs to take offense, and I need to be mad at everything. I mean, you can't say anything without somebody getting mad and offended. And I think it's always kind of been like that, but now the people who get mad and offended think they have some like higher place, that their offendedness matters more. Because, I mean, we've made it so that it does. But, I mean, you can't say shit anymore. Like, if you're in the public spotlight or whatever. And that's why it's cool that this podcast only gets, an average of about 20 listens on Spotify and 50 to 100 watches on YouTube. Because they ain't coming for me. And so I can really say what I want. Which, speaking of that, if you do like this podcast and you just want to tell one friend about it, that'd be cool. I think that's the best way to grow it. All right. But, the funny thing, and boy, I'm going to get some shit for this. Well, I won't, because like I said, everyone who watches this right now likes me. But maybe you won't like me for this take. The pronoun shit is just so comical to me. And it's really funny, too, here in Finland, because in Finnish, they don't have a differentiating word for he or she. It's just like it. And so there's the idea of what pronoun to use for a guy versus a girl never even comes up in conversation, because with the language, there's not a different word you can use. And so I would be curious to know, Finnish people, is there much like transgender stuff that happens here because of that? Because I know language shapes our reality and our perceptions a lot. There's some study that some tribe in South America, I'm probably getting this wrong. They don't have a word for blue, and so they use green like for blue basically. And so then when you show it like 5 or 6 different shades and one of them's blue, they can't tell the difference of those 5 or 6 shades because in their mind, like there's no difference. It's all the same. But then they have a lot of different words for different shades of green. And so you could show a 5 or 6 different colors of green, and one is just slightly different that I can't tell at all. And they'd easily be able to figure out which one is different. And so I say all that because our language, will shape our beliefs and shapes our reality and so on and so forth. And so I'm wondering if like the transgender stuff, it can't be as popular here because of that. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Someone let me know. It was funny. I was at a friend's the other day, and his girl was talking about, like, we were talking about dogs breeding. I don't know how this came up. And she said, oh, yeah, the male dog. And my buddy's like, no, honey, you can't say that. You have to say, we don't know what the dog identifies as. So you just have to say the dog with a penis. I thought that was fucking great. And that was being satirical. But that same conversation might happen in LA, and that might be serious. So that's what I said. Back to my point. You don't know what parody is anymore. But yeah, the pronoun stuff is like, I'm cool with if you're a dude. I'm like, just for the record too, I'm like cool with transgender. Like, I think that gender dysmorphia, if that's the right word or term to use, is a real thing. I'm sure, the same way, like, I don't think people choose to be gay. I think, in all of these things, I don't think that, although, another hot topic, lately, some girls are choosing to be gay. And I have multiple examples of my friend group, and maybe choosing is the wrong thing. Maybe it's more like the circle of guys, and what guys are bringing to the table from the dating scene is just so shitty that they've gone outside that circle and gone into girls. But I had a friend who, I've known since 12 years old, who liked dudes, to say it rather straightforwardly. After at 24, 25, I don't know, all of a sudden was gay. And I was like, wouldn't you mean you're bi? No, I'm gay. It's like, I've known you for like 10 years and I don't, okay. I think you like guys though, still. Maybe you do like girls too, but to just, I know I'm gay, like gay pride, fucking rainbows, this and that, like, all right. And then after, I don't know, a couple years, she now has a boyfriend after dumping the one girlfriend. Or it doesn't really matter. But what I'm saying was I was right. She liked dudes. But maybe, like I said, girls have just, maybe guys are to blame for this. And maybe society and whatever. But it's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll say it. I think gay dudes are not ever choosing to be gay dudes. And also the like super lesbian girl, like, but there's a little gray area for some of these girls right now. I'm sorry, there is. But anyway, I don't think majority of them are choosing to be gay. Same way, I do not think anybody who's willing to cut their dick off or start taking testosterone is choosing to do that. I mean, they are choosing to do that, don't get me wrong, but it's not like this active choice. Like, they truly believe they are this one thing or the other. And so I dig myself that huge hole just to try and climb out of it by probably digging even deeper, to say I have no problem with using she and he and like she and he. I have zero problems with that. If you're a dude that feels more like a girl and you say, hey, I want to go by she, I'm cool with that. And I'll use it, correct me, tell me, I'm with it. You're a girl that feels more like a dude, you want to use he, I'm fucking cool with that. I'm on board. I might fuck it up once or twice. I'm sorry about it. I'm on board with it. The problem I have is when we start saying fucking they and z and who even knows. There's a million fucking genders now. That's where I have a problem. When I hear someone say like, I'm they, I'm like, well, where's the other person? You know, like, you have two people. Like, I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense. I'm not gonna. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm not gonna use they. Sorry. I'm not gonna call one single person they. That's not fucking they. I'm not gonna call someone they or z or I don't even know. Let me look up some list of 78 gender pronouns. Go fuck yourself. Z, say, a, they, te, a, zim, z. Dude. Thyself, higher self, er self, ver self, ter self. No, go fuck yourself. I'm not using that. I'm not using that. Sorry. You can be he or she. Or if we want to create one more for the middle in between those, I'm on board with that one too. Completely on board with that, actually. So if that turns into Z or Zer or whatever, I'm willing to meet in the middle with that one. 78? No, sorry. And that's like the next thing too with all of this transgender stuff. Damn, I didn't plan on going this way at all. I had one thing written down that said pronouns are funny, and that was what brought all this on. Obviously, I want to talk about it. But with like with the thing I have a tough time with, like I said, as I've said all before, some bad, some good. I think it's a real thing, and I think people I'm all for doing whatever the fuck you want to do. And so if you want to cut your dick off and take estrogen pills and grow boobs and be a girl, I welcome you and I support you fully to do it 100%. My problem is then with the transgender sports world of guys who are then going to girls and then competing in girl sports. Like I said, I'm down to have one more third gender for whatever that fluidity in between is. I'm cool with that. But then we need to start creating a third division for sports, because letting a girl who used to be a guy compete in UFC and fuck some girls up, which like this is a thing, this has happened. Like there's one girl in the UFC who used to be a guy who's literally like broken two girls who used to be girls' skulls. There's, in sprinting track, there's been some stuff in, I don't know. I'm not researching all of these things. I just have seen what I've seen. And the most compelling point that I've seen is someone asked, like trans right enthusiast, which like I've said, I'm all for it. I'm not, but said, would you then support the women's national team if every girl on the team was then transgender? And the lady didn't have an answer for that. Maybe I can find the clip. Probably not, though. We'll see. Because like that to me then, it's like it's okay if it's the exception to the rule. But the thing that scares me, or not scares me, I'm not fucking scared of this at all, worries me. I'm not even really worried. It doesn't affect me at all. It can become a slippery slope like anything. And so what happens when, let me get this back up. What happens when all the girls used to be guys? You know, that's where it's like, is it then really, if we're getting back to feminism, it's kind of the opposite, man. The guys are in a way taking the girls' jobs in this weird fucking roundabout way. No? Yes? Maybe? I don't know. Damn, I've gone 48 minutes. I didn't even plan on talking about half this shit. There hasn't been too much going on in my life in the last couple weeks since last episode. You know, I've had these that was a good little revelation that I had, and it's been a test, and I view everything as a test. And as I said, there's some shit that's going on multiple levels in my life that old Joey would not have done and been this calm about. And so that's how I know I'm growing. And that's kind of fun. Even though there's still some points of frustration. That's okay. Like old Joey, if I had to move mid-season and done all the cleaning and done all the moving and all of that shit, old Joey probably wouldn't have liked that too much and might have made a big deal out of it. But wiser Joey is okay with it. It's all a test. It's all good. What else we got here? I do have one confession to make for all you Europeans out there. I truly enjoy watching soccer now. And if I had to choose between just some random game that was on of professional level, between baseball, basketball, football, and football, I'll even call it what the fuck you want me to call it for this, I'd probably pick soccer. And only because it's such an easy thing to watch, because you really don't have to pay attention the whole time. And most importantly, there's no fucking commercials for 45 minutes at a time. That is the beauty of it. And that's what's winning me over about it. Because, man, you watch NBA, MLB, NFL. I won't watch NFL football anymore unless it's red zone or it's the playoffs. Because it feels like every 5 minutes there's a commercial. NBA is the same. The end of the game, it's terrible. But with soccer, and it needs to be the right league too. Like, I'm starting to enjoy English Premier League. Who do I like? I like Tottenham, I think. I don't really know, but that'll sound cool. Yeah, I think that's who I like. They try and score all the time, at least the 2 games I've seen of them. That's what I'm about. Give me a 5-6 soccer game. Oh, I'm with it. But you have 45 minutes straight of not a ton of action and not too much excitement happening during those 45 minutes straight, I will admit. And then 20-minute halftime, which then you're getting the highlights of the most exciting plays that just happened in the last 45 minutes. And then another 45 minutes of relative action. Like, there's not a lot happening at some points. You know, it's very similar to me in a way of football being in a huddle. Like, about the same amount of shit's actually happening. And so, yeah, I think that's where I'm at with sport. God, with soccer, but I still will hold strong in the sense that of all the sports I just named, I still think that soccer is the worst for creating better men, or like using it as a life skills thing and translating it to life and responsibility and like toughness and those kind of things. And it would be so easy for me to change my tune on that. I'm okay with the flopping or the falling or whatever the hell they call it. The part that I can't wrap my head around. And if they just changed this, I would be all on board and maybe put it higher than other sports. But when motherfuckers fake an injury and roll around the ground like their leg just got blown off, and then they bring out the magic spray, and in 1 minute he's walking and running like normal, I just can't get behind that. I'm sorry. I can't get behind it. And if that one thing changed, like I said, I'm okay with the flopping, really. I get it's part of the game. I understand that. But being a bitch and faking like you're hurt should not be part of the game. Another Finnish news to wrap this up. Finnish people will be very happy to hear that I am coming around on the saunas. When I first got out here, I will admit I wasn't a huge fan. The idea of just being really hot as a Irish guy and just a super white dude in general just didn't appeal to me. Like, I get hot when I think about the sun. So why am I going to go sit in a room that's super fucking hot? But it's slowly I'm coming around on it. And the last couple days I'll hit the ice tub to get the legs back after a workout. And now I'm dunking myself under the water, just quick dunk, kind of as a mental thing to do something I really don't want to do. And then after that, I go get in the sauna and I do a little meditation in there. And I'm getting in the aroma sauna. A little bougie, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know exactly what's different than the normal sauna. They got some eucalyptus up in there or something, but I'll admit I like that. And I'm like looking forward to it every day. I get out of there nice and relaxed. I sweat a little bit, which unlike most people at the gym here, I'm sweating while I work out also. So that's also a thing. I realize maybe that's also why a lot of Finnish people don't sweat in the gym. And I know it's not all of them. I'm just being funny right here. Shut the fuck up. Is they get their sweating in the sauna. So maybe that's something that's happening. But yeah, sauna's growing on me. I'll admit it. So, my last thing of just I'll promise to keep this one under a minute regarding funny political shit. Like, if at this point now with Biden in office, if you just can't see the hypocrisy of everything, and I really don't care, fuck Trump, fuck Biden, whatever. But if you can't see the hypocrisy of how the media handles it, like, you're choosing to not see it. Because I'm going to play a clip here of Biden talking about African Americans and Hispanics not being smart enough, basically, or not knowing how to log on the internet to figure out how to get in line to get the vaccine or how to vote. I don't even really remember what the hell he's talking about. But I can't believe he says this. Again, this is like parody that it could be a Saturday Night Live skit and I'd be like, okay, that's pretty funny. This is real fucking life. And not one media. I mean, I guess I don't even know. It's not like I listen to the media or am logging into CNN ever or Fox News or whoever. But just if old Donnie would have said this shit, imagine the firestorm that would have been started. And on the final note of Joe, I guess I got 2 clips for it. I got to put it at the end. Maybe my only thing that's ever gotten taken down off of YouTube was when I showed a video of Biden like being creepy and sniffing girls' hair and talked about the Wayfair scandal conspiracy. It was a conspiracy. It's like, yeah, YouTube, that's the one thing that they want to make sure they censor is people talking about pedophilia in the elites. That makes sense, right? But Biden in his first week or 2 or 3, I don't fucking know, has signed like an incredible amount of executive orders, which whatever. I don't care, whatever. But one of them, and the weirdest one, and just shows that where we're headed, is he like reversed a executive order for essentially the Chinese to not be able to have access and like power over our power grid. Let me.
It's Jen. In an executive order that the president signed last week, he also suspended a Trump administration executive order that was particularly aimed at keeping foreign countries, specifically China, from interfering in the U.S. power grid. But he suspended that for 90 days in that executive order last week. Given what you said about China today, why did he do that, especially related to something so critical to our national security as the power grid?
I think the president's view on our relationship with China, I tried to do my best to convey to all of you. I'll have to check on that specific piece, and we'll circle back with you directly.
Oh, we're fucked, man. Oh, boy. There's some funny, I mean, like I said, I don't look at CNN or Fox or any fucking mainstream media anymore. Like a true reputable person in today's day and age, I get my news from TikTok and a little bit of Twitter here sprinkled in. Is that a parody or is that not? That's actually serious. And there's some funny shit on TikTok with like literally every question that gets asked about her, she doesn't answer and just, we'll have to check on that and circle back with you. We'll check on that, circle back. It's like, oh man. What are we coming to? Alrighty, man. I think that's all I got for today. As always, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you big time. Hope your day's going wonderful. Hope you have an excellent weekend, all that shit. And we'll catch you next time. Peace and much love. Holla.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?